welcome everyone to episode 19 of the Well That Terrific podcast. My name is Tom Cruise.
And I'm Mr. S.
And we're just two friends who like talking about everything horror. Today, we have a bit of a special treat, of course. I know everybody's watching this across the world. Stranger Things, Season 4.
Yes, you heard that right. Stranger Things Season 4, finally here.
So full disclaimer, before we dive into it, we will be talking about the first 4 episodes of the season. I know there are 7 episodes total out for Volume 1, but in today's episode, we will only be talking about episodes 1 through 4.
Yes, so spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't watched Stranger Things yet or hasn't gotten to this part. If you haven't watched it, skip this, and when you do, come back.
Yes. And another disclaimer, I have seen all 7 episodes, but no spoilers. I will only be talking about episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then stay tuned for next week if you want to hear about the next part of the show.
Other disclaimer is the fact that I didn't watch the first 7. I only watched the first 4. So I will be making predictions, and you can just judge me from your seat there. So
yeah. Unfortunately, I cannot make any predictions because I know what happens for the rest of the season. So So without further ado, let's get started. Chapter 1.
Yes, sir. Chapter 1, the Hellfire Club, right?
Correct.
So this is it's typical introduction episode, just like every other show.
But it was a really good introduction. Not gonna lie, they literally just start off really strong. They really want to get you hooked, and they really do. They do a great job, especially with that flashback scene. The CGI was great. Love seeing little 11. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad you see it that way. They do start off. So we talked about the first 8 minutes, right? We talked about the first 8 minutes. I didn't see it. You didn't see it, because it was like a week. So what was the point?
So now that we can talk about that, were the first 8 minutes the flashback? Is that what it was?
Correct. The first 8 minutes were the flashback.
Okay, so that's interesting. Now that we have this unique perspective, I can see why they may have released that, only because I guess it was just a flashback sequence. It's not really what's going on currently.
Correct. And it was the introduction to the episode, and I do appreciate the disclaimer in the beginning by them, in regards to the sensitive topic of the events that took place in Texas. And I appreciate that. I really do, because a lot of people can't handle that. So I did not expect that scene. I did not. I really didn't. But it was, at the same time, I'm happy that they did that. Let us know. And I'm also a fan of the scene itself. We never really got too much info on terms of Elle before season 1, right? With Papa and whatnot. So that was really good to see. Definitely scary, and it does set the tone. I feel like this season so far, from what I've seen, has been very they're not afraid to do things, if that makes sense. They're not afraid to make this scary.
Yeah, they've definitely gone a lot darker. So so here's a fun story. My nephew, who's actually I think 9 years old now. Excuse me for forgetting that, but he's 9 years old and he loves Stranger Things. I don't think he actually ever pays attention. He just watches random episodes. Sometimes he'll say, "Let's play it," and he won't be paying attention, but he likes seeing the monsters and stuff. He was with my sister, and she was like, "Do you think it's okay for him to watch this season?" And I said, "I don't know. Actually, I don't know if I would tell him to watch this. I don't know if I would want him to watch this. It gets a little gruesome. It's a little bit more extreme." I was like, honestly, if you're there with him, and then you can judge it as it goes, then maybe. I mean, not to say that this show is very kid friendly, but my brother and I watching horror movies all our lives. My nephew's around it, so he's kind of used to certain things. He's desensitized to kind of horror, but we never let him see things like super gore and things like that. And this season was not afraid to really brutalize some characters, and not only that, the darker tone in terms of the actual horror.
Right.
Yeah, it's completely different in comparison to the rest.
Exactly, and I just want to touch on that because you did say it's not kid friendly, right? The first 3 seasons, I think one thing that makes Stranger Things so successful is the fact that essentially it is horror. It is horror. That's why we cover it, but it's also welcome to anyone. Like, even if you're not horror, because it has such different vibes, things that are likable, you know, the 80s and like, you know, all these other things, you know, all these stories. So that was great. But then I feel like season 4, it's like, hey, you know what? We've got these people hooked. Let's make this a little bit more darker, you know? And it definitely works.
It also goes with like where they are with the show now. Like you can see that it's heading towards an end eventually. And I know they've already announced that season 5 will be the last season, but even without announcing that, you can see that like this is heading towards a path where like I don't know how, you know, this has to be clear, an end coming soon.
Right. No, absolutely. And you know, the episode 1, you know, introduction, that was a great scene. I also was a fan of how, you know, they do this thing where they let us know where everybody is currently. Yeah. Every group, whether it's, you know, Mike and Nancy.
It's always fun. It's the whole Callie. It's the whole Walking Dead sort of thing where like
it's the whole cast, where they are, what they're doing. It's great.
So I want to circle around back to that, but this season has 4 main stories. So there's, you know, there's the A story, the B story, C story, and then there's the D story as well.
Which, by the way, the poster behind you, now I understand it, because I remember looking at it like, oh, what could this mean? And you can make a prediction like, oh, you know, this is everybody currently different places, but we understand why that poster is the way it is now, the groups and what they're facing. So I appreciated that.
And I think, honestly, I think they're organized in not. I don't even want to say in terms of like my interest or how good they are, but like. Yeah, I think that the first 3 storylines are pretty strong, and then to me, there's a storyline where it's just like I don't know where this is going.
Okay, which storylines do you like? Which ones don't you like?
I like all the storylines except one.
Which one's the one you don't like?
This one right here. So
that's the Callie one.
Yeah, the Callie storyline is by far the like we're just here. This is interesting. Because I saw, what's her name? Damn, Millie Bobby Brown. I might be misinterpreting this, but well, I'm not misinterpreting it. I might be paraphrasing this. I should say. I saw an interview where she mentioned that there's too many characters in the show, and for lack of a better word, she mentioned that, you know, they should start getting rid of them or start killing them. Obviously, it's not her decision. Mm-hmm. And my girlfriend's first instinct was, well, maybe she's not the big focus of the show and she doesn't like that. I'm like, I don't think so. I think she doesn't necessarily want to be the focus, but I do agree in the sense that there's a lot of characters in this show, and it's kind of hard to juggle them all, especially when you have a storyline like that Callie storyline that I feel like honestly is just like, hey, these characters are here, they're still alive, but like the whole entire season can function without them. And I'm sure at the end it'll have some sort of payoff. I just don't know if it's kind of like, again, to me, it just feels like, hi, like these are the characters. Don't forget about them. But honestly, those are the least interesting characters anyway.
So I wasn't aware of that interview with Millie Bobby Brown. However, I do probably agree with your girlfriend in the sense that they probably do that just to kill off people, you know, because let's be real, like I'm expecting
so what my girlfriend said was
she's not the main focus.
Yeah, she thinks Millie Bobby Brown said that because she's not the main focus.
Gotcha.
Millie Bobby Brown was the one that said that she thinks they should start killing people to like shorten the cast, which again, it makes sense as the show starts ending, but like it's gonna be hard for characters to die in this show because of the love and interest that everybody has for them. It's one of those things where like you risk it, like dividing the fan base because you've now made all these likable characters, and like not everybody could do what Game of Thrones, where it's like, you know, you love this character, you love him so much, I'm gonna kill him just to make you suffer. It's like that wouldn't work here. I don't know.
Right. No. So I do agree that characters should end up dying, and not because there's too many. You know. Yeah, there are a lot of characters. Maybe that's just a lot of story, but I just think that there has been deaths in the show, but I really feel like there hasn't been a death that really mattered or made me like, shit, we just lost somebody. You know what I'm saying? So maybe they do that. You know, the thing about the Callie group, Mike, Jonathan, Will, and Elle, the 2 character changes that I like the least are Jonathan and Elle. I don't like Jonathan Spot character. I don't like his look. I don't like how he's acting. I don't like it when he's high. I'll be honest with you, I'm not really feeling it. Like, Jonathan went from being someone who was so sweet and hardworking for the family and all that stuff to a pothead and like not going to see his girl, whatever. I'm not digging it. I don't know what can happen because I'm only 4 episodes in. I don't know what can happen, but whatever. Another thing is Elle. I love Elle. Elle is probably my top 5 character. She is my top 5 favorite characters. I just don't feel like she's Elle, obviously, without her powers. And I feel like I don't want that to be dragged. Like, I'm 4 episodes in and she still doesn't have her powers. It's just like,
so
she's just basic now to me for a little bit, you know? Like,
yeah.
like going through.
Here's what I would say is, again, I've seen all the episodes, so I'm not going to spoil anything, but it definitely felt that way for me too. It did feel like it was dragging. And the one thing to note is, if you look at the characters on this side, you'll notice that Elle is not here. So I just want to say that. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, because she went to try to get her powers back with
yeah. So I'm not saying she's part of this story. If I had to,
I'm just saying in terms of the Cali itself. I'm thinking about California, the people in California, and she comes to mind because she's obviously there.
No, I get it. But in terms of the storylines, we have the A storyline with all the main characters, Steve, I'm blanking out.
Well, they're
Dustin,
all main. If you think about it, they're all main. Because Mike's main too. Will's main. Like, that's another thing. Like, something with Will. I'm sorry to cut you off, but something with Will. There's something there that I'm picking up on. There's 2 things that I'm picking up on, and I don't want to like get any heat for this, but like I like to decipher things and go into it. 2 things I'm thinking that's going on with Will. Number one, he's jealous that he doesn't have somebody. He feels alone, right? Like it's been mentioned before. You know, he's alone. He told Mike about whatever. Second, I'm thinking he's gay. I'm thinking that he's gay because
I thought about that too. Maybe I don't know. I don't. There's nothing concrete there.
For me, no, it's nothing concrete, but I am feeling it a little bit because of his jealousy with Mike right now, right? He had a painting with him also, and his project was on Alan Turing, and if you know who Alan Turing is, if you've seen the Imitation Game, he is the one who invented computers, but he was also gay, and he was at the time, you know, like punished for it, and like this is the 80s we're talking about, so I don't know, like I'm just thought here.
Maybe that's where they're going with it. Maybe
that's what I'm thinking, but there's something definitely there. So.
No, I didn't see that Alan Turing thing, but it definitely makes sense. I mean, I guess the last thing I'll say is like in terms of like all the groups, this is I would say this is probably A, B, C, D in terms of the storylines.
What's under you? Because I can't see under you.
So under me is just Elle by herself.
Oh, Elle by herself. Okay.
I will actually let me see if I can.
No, that's fine. I just okay. I see it. Okay.
So, yeah. So, in terms of like the importance on the story, and this is not just, I'm just saying, I think the important stories is 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think the first 3 storylines are great. There's this D storyline where you're just like, we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Do you want to go into like deep dive into the actual episode and what happens in episode 1 and 2, 3?
So yeah, let's just go with it like, you know, as we can and kind of give our inputs on it. So episode 1 is the Hellfire Club, and we get introductions to all these new characters, also as well as the characters that we love. You know what they're doing, what's going on. The new characters that we have are Eddie. Obviously, he's in charge of the Hellfire Club. Yeah, so I like his character a lot.
He is played by Joseph Quinn.
Yes, Joseph Quinn. He's like this D&D master. He's been left back in high school. Like he loves his guitar, and he sells drugs. So that's him. That's his character.
At first, I thought it was like I thought he was really similar to this chick's brother who died last season. I was like, they look just alike. And then
Billy?
Yeah. And then
rest in peace, Billy.
And then he happens to be her neighbor. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, there's definitely some
Max.
type of connection
so, yeah.
there.
I was like, he kind of looks like Max a little bit with the hair, and then happens to be, Max's brother, and then happens to live right next door to Max too. I was like, okay.
Yeah, definitely. He's new. Chrissy is a cheerleader who was new. This is episode 1, by the way. This is what we're talking about. Yeah. Chrissy's new. Who else is new? The counselor's new. The guidance counselor's new. And trying to think. Am I missing any? I'm probably. The guy from Cali, the guy who smokes pot with Jonathan. He's new.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it for new characters. I'm probably missing somebody, but
I'm sure you are. But I think you mentioned all the important ones, though.
Yeah, those are the important new ones. And then, of course, we have Vecna, who is a new character.
I believe he doesn't really get a name to the next season, the next episode. No.
So the name is mentioned, and he's introduced, but it's not tied together, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's what it is. Yeah, because they play D&D and Vecna.
Yeah.
So they always connect these monsters to a D&D character. So
correct.
We're calling this character Vecna, but his name is not Vecna really.
Obviously,
yes.
Yeah. So that's the first episode. Again, I do like how they introduce everybody, what's going on. Mike's trying to go see Elle, and like Nancy's charge of like the editing team, and Lucas is in the game.
Newspaper of her school.
Yeah, Lucas is in the basketball team.
Game. Yeah. Max
Mike
is a super loner.
Especially since Billy died, and she's going to the guidance counselor.
Yep.
Dustin and Mike are playing, D&D at the school, and like, but they're all kind of distant though. Everybody has their own thing going. They're still like know each other and are friends, but they're all distant, doing their own things. So that was the first episode. That's the vibe that I got. I loved it. I loved the introduction to all of them. It was funny. Like they do a lot of funny things in Stranger Things, which I think is underappreciated a lot. And then it ends in a banger. I think I want to just talk about this ending. So
I want to talk about something else that's important too. You get to see 11 at school.
Actually, two things. School. Yeah. Ella's at school, right?
And I think this is very important because it does eventually tie in, but it's just how she's treating in school and what she's telling Mike and everyone in terms of what's going on. But again,
yeah. Oh, that's how they kind of start off the episode. Like Elle is. You guys remember a teaser? The teaser. Remember the teaser? It was called Spring Break. Netflix released a teaser. I'm sure everybody's seen it, where she's reading.
I don't think I've ever saw it.
Well,
everybody's seen it except me, apparently.
She's reading her letter to Mike. Literally, what we heard in episode 1, and whatever she's saying is that like the complete opposite. She's saying she's making a lot of friends, and meanwhile she's getting bullied and she doesn't have any friends. And she's saying stuff like, Joyce has a great job. She gets to work remote, but she's selling encyclopedias.
I do like that. She's still awkward. Like they didn't make her completely change. Like she's not she's still talking
of course,
funny.
That's Elle. That's her element. That's her essence. Yeah. So it was glad to see that. And then another thing that we wanted to mention is the fact that Joyce gets a box, obviously, that Hopper is
Russian doll inside.
Yeah. So the Russian doll inside has this like, what are those letters called when you like mash letters together from like magazines and stuff like that? I forgot. There's a word for it. It's like a hostage
letter. I don't even know what it is.
Yeah. So basically, it just says
a ransom
Hopper,
letter.
Yeah. And it says that Hopper is alive, and she's like questioning it. So she calls Murray and try to confirm it. So that's that. So episode 1 does a great job of setting up the story. So that's that.
But then the episode ends in quite a bit of a bang.
Yes. So you want to explain how it ends?
No, I'll let you dive into it. Again,
so essentially, Chrissy, throughout the whole episode, Chrissy's the main cheerleader. She's been there's a scene in episode 1 where Max is in the bathroom and she hears somebody throwing up, right? And it tends to be Chrissy, and she's throwing up, and then she has like this weird like hallucination where like she hears her mom's voice and like open the door, and like she sees some weird demonic feet, and then it goes away, right? And then she ends up asking Eddie to buy some drugs. Apparently she wants some drugs so this way she can get over this hallucination or whatever.
She doesn't know what's going on. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And meanwhile, she saw a grandfather clock. What did she see? She saw it in the forest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she saw it in the forest.
She's been hallucinating like the entire day, pretty much.
Correct. And long story short,
you hear this creepy voice too.
Yeah, exactly. You hear this creepy voice with her name. Long story short, she goes to Eddie's house to get something stronger. She tells him, "Please, I need something stronger." So they go, and which is odd because a cheerleader wouldn't be hanging out with a nerd, like a captain nerd, whatever you want to call him. And Max just sees them go into the house because remember, Eddie and Max live together. I mean, close to each other. Eddie goes to his room to try to get the drugs. In the meantime, Chrissy is hallucinating again, and she ends up being at this house, and like She hears her mom's voice. She's like opening the door. She's trying to make sure that it's, you know, closed. She goes down. She sees her dad with her eyes popped out. So it's very dark, very eerie. You know, we understand that obviously she's hallucinating, but at the same time, we're going back and forth. We see Eddie look at Chrissy, and she's like, you know, in a spell, like in a trance or whatever you want to call it. And it's actually mad funny. I love when he was like, Chrissy, I don't like this. Like, I was dying, bro. I was dying.
He's funny. He's such a great character.
Yeah, my wife was dying too. And so we were watching that. And then essentially we see Vecna, you know, who they call Vecna, walk down the stairs in this creepy voice, you know, Chrissy.
And they really play with him in the shadows and him like
they
appearing.
play with him in the shadows, and they play with also like us, because, you know, we heard it in the trailer when he says, you have, what do you say? You've broken. No, your suffering has come to an end. And he just takes out his claws and then, you know, puts his hand on her. And at the meantime, like Eddie watches her like levitate, and one by one, like her like body parts snap, her mouth, her legs, her arms, and then her eyes pop out, and then boom, end. Right?
Yep.
What are you comparing that to?
So here's what he's referring to, guys. Immediately I told him, what is this, Freddy? I was like, this is not Freddy. And then the more you watch the show, and again, I'm only talking about the first 4 episodes, it's a, you know, it's clear that they're playing homage to A Nightmare on Elm Street. They even got as far as to like name drop the movie eventually, but the there's just a lot of parallels. Like, one, the whole circumstance of, you know, she was locked in a room with a guy. She gets killed. Now he has to run away. He completely avoids the cops. He doesn't call the cops. Again, this is the next episode, but still, there's just too much. Like, there's the claw, there's the voice. We know Robert Englund is starring here. It's just like, okay, there's a lot of similarities. Again, that's not a knock on it. I'm just saying, like, clearly they were inspired. But like, there's no
question about it, though. That's the thing. Like, I don't disagree. I have mentioned it to my wife and my brother-in-law. We were watching it together. I told them, like, yo, I think that's like Nightmare on Elm Street, because the whole spell, because they're in a spell, but it also like reminds you of them in their sleep, right?
Yeah,
and, like,
it's like
comes and kills them in their sleep.
They literally later on refer to that trance as like a nightmare, which
Correct.
Again,
Nightmare on Elm Street. So
nightmares.
The thing is, the Duffer Brothers are fans of Nightmare on Elm Street, but also Robert Englund himself came to them and asked them if he could be here. So I don't want to. Yes, it is. It's similar. It very is similar.
No,
but,
no.
Like,
So
it's not completely, you know.
Yeah. Here's what I'm trying to tell you is, I'm not trying to knock the show at all. I'm just acknowledging that they were clearly inspired by Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right.
And again, it's not a knock to it at all. So there's no need to like give an excuse. I know that Robert Englund is in this. I'm just saying that, you know, it's clear that, you know, they were influenced by it, and there are a lot of elements in this show, or specifically even this season. There's especially more in this season that are, you know, clear references and homages to A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's the voice, the character, the claw. There's a whole bunch.
Yeah. Episode. So that was episode 1. Great episode. Great first episode.
Yep.
Episode 2 was what's called Vecna's Curse. So the main group up top of you, Steve, you know, Dustin and all, Max and them, they try to go find Eddie, because Max obviously knows that Chrissy was with, you know, Eddie, and now the cops there. There's a dead body, and like she just thinks Eddie did it.
Yeah,
they explain it. You guys seen this. You're here. You guys are here because you've seen it. So you want us just to review it. So that's the thing. You know, I don't want to go into every single thing.
Yeah, there's a couple things that happen though in this episode. So this is where we get a little bit more of the Hopper backstory, like how he survived the explosion.
Exactly.
There's a little bit of exposition there. It also continues. Joyce calls the phone number, and they speak to this guy calling himself Enzo, who, by the way, is played by the same guy who played the maskless, the faceless man in Game of Thrones.
Yes, sir. The guy with the 3 wishes.
Yeah. This is the episode that Mike goes out to California, and she meets 11.
Yeah.
And he meets with gets back with 11.
Correct.
Yes. So this is where, you know, Max tells Dustin she saw Eddie. We know this. And again, we get a little bit more of Robin and Steve action, which arguably are my favorite episode, my favorite characters of the entire show. And this is where they kind of name drop Vecna and make that connection. So this is where I mentioned there's like, yeah, they do mention Vecna when they're playing D&D in episode 1, but episode 2 is where they kind of establish that the villain of this season is this person who can put you in a trance and basically cast a spell on you.
Exactly. And they mention this at the very, very end of this episode, because they mention it while Fred, Nancy's reporter assistant, or whatever the hell you want to call him.
Again, another nod.
Fred.
Fred.
Right.
Okay.
I can't even defend that one. But yeah, so like, because in episode 2, Nancy's trying to obviously be Nancy Drew and try to figure out what's going on there, but this kid Fred Benson apparently has some, story that we don't know about, and he's having these visions too with the cops. So here's what I like about this. I like the fact that the show knows how to explain things while things are happening. You know what I'm saying? Because they did that even in episode 1, where Lucas hits the buzzer beater at the same time while his sister ends up beating Eddie in the game. And they did it in episode 2 where, by the way, that shot was fucking scary. Where he's in the grave and he's coming through I was like, that is eerie, man. And like, basically, they find Eddie at the very end, and Dustin is explaining to him like, yo, whatever you saw, trust me, we believe it because we've been through shit ourselves. But he's calling it Vecna's curse, literally. And he's explaining Vecna's curse while, Fred himself is going through it. Same thing that he went through Chrissy. He saw the clock, and then he's on the scene where something happened, ends up in a grave. Vecna comes, claws him, twists his body.
This is also where we get the introduction to Victor Creel, because Nancy's investigating and speaks to Eddie's uncle, who he mentions that, the cops all believe that it's Eddie. Everybody's all but convinced that Eddie did it, and he believes. So she's trying to get like the proper scoop. So she's trying to get like, tell me what you believe. I'll believe anything. And he says he believes the killer is Victor Creel, a Hawkins resident who's institutionalized for murdering his entire family, but the method of murder is identical. So that's where kind of he makes that connection.
Right. We also, is this the episode? No, I don't think this is the episode.
This is the episode with Chrissy's boyfriend, though, right?
Chrissy's boyfriend. Oh yeah. Which again, I'm not as interested. I mean, it's obviously cliche-ish, but it worked. Definitely. Like Chrissy's boyfriend is like the captain of the basketball team, and he's trying to avenge
he's the mob rules, the mob mentality of this show.
Yeah, and he's trying to avenge his girlfriend's death because he says there's no way that, because the cops question him, he's like, there's no way that my girlfriend would be with Eddie trying to buy drugs, like, it's no way. So he tries to go after Eddie's friends who are in the D&D group, and Lucas is in the basketball
Basically, he's
team.
trying to get at Eddie though, and then he's just trying to get as many connections as possible to
Correct. And I get it. I'm with it. I like first 4 episodes in, I don't see anything yet. Like, he saw his band, like his friends were in the band, so he attacked them. But there's gonna definitely be a showdown eventually, and I'm waiting for that. But I'm not as interested in that right now. I'm interested in all the other stories. I'm interested in Hopper. I'm interested in Max. I'm interested in Callie. I'm interested in Elle's powers coming back. So that's all the things. I'm interested in Vecna. I'm interested in all of it because there's 4 episodes in, there are a lot of questions that are still not being answered, and we're going to talk about it right now. We're going to just talk about episode 3 and 4 now.
So before we time into episode 3 and 4, I want to mention something that you kind of touched up on. You said that you liked, and I just want to critique one small little critique, but I mentioned it before. So you said that you like some of the things about, like, how they shot things in parallel, like him making the shot and things going on at the same time, and I do like that. But if I'm being honest in terms of like the I guess the episodes themselves, I do think it would have benefited from having shorter episodes. I don't see again, and I could even say this from the first 4 episodes. I don't see why they couldn't have divided these. So like, I guess my critique comes from, I don't know, like Game of Thrones and some other shows where every single time they've said we're making this episode long, or we're shooting this amount of episode, it was because that episode was like a concise story. And I don't know if it was just an artistic choice in terms of making it, 7 episodes and an hour and a half, or an hour 10 minutes every episode, and then the second volume be 2 episodes. I don't know if that was an artistic choice, but I don't think it was necessary. Like, they could have easily split this up, to be honest.
I see what you're saying. I definitely see what you're saying, but I think I'm gonna have to disagree.
I think you will agree as the show goes on. Here's what that's what I'll say. Because this is not a spoiler, but it gets to some points where, like, the conclusion of some episodes are just like, okay.
Well, I don't know about future episodes. What I do know so far is the fact that all the time they have used for an episode, it's been a lot of information, and I haven't been bored. I know. Hooked. So that's what I appreciate. And like the endings, you say usually episodes that are that long have a concise story, but I feel like every chapter that is titled a certain way ends with that story. Does that make sense? Because, so for instance, the Hellfire Club, right? You get introduced to Hellfire Club, and then at the end of episode 1, Eddie, who is, the whatever you want to call it, the leader of the club, experiences the murder, and then second is Vecna, and at the end, I guess what I'm trying
to say is, with the division of all the storylines, you didn't have to do that, because you could still have the same ending with exactly what you're saying, and it could still be episode 1. But it could just be, what's going on with storyline A.
Then what's the point of dividing it if you can binge it? You know what I'm saying? Like I don't see the reason for division.
Well, the obvious reason is people tend to watch more episodes instead of shorter, longer episodes.
Okay, I see. No, I definitely see your point.
When you
I'm just different.
And that could be a bit of
a longer.
Yeah, but that could be more of a concern when you get to, like, volume 2, when you have a 2-hour episode. You know what I mean?
Listen, if it's a great explanation, if it's a great story, I look at story more than anything. Like I'm with it. And think about it also. It's $30 million per episode that they're doing, and that's why the CGI looks incredible. That's why the cinematography is insane. That's so many actors. So many locations. So. If you're going to use $30 million per episode, you're not going to waste it on 40 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
No, I get it.
Yeah.
But then my biggest critique then is, then what's the point of making that whole division between Volume 1 and Volume 2?
Because Volume 2 is probably just the finale. I mean, I don't know what Episode 7 is. Probably. You do. I don't know what Episode 7 is. So if you're asking that question, I don't know. Then it seems like maybe there's no close. I mean...
Well, we'll see.
I'll see what happens. But
yeah, let's dive back into the episodes. I didn't want to sidetrack too long.
No problem.
We got Chapter 3, The Monster and the Superhero.
All right, this episode. All right, so this episode essentially is about Elle, right? That's what it's about. Elle.
That's why it's called.
It's the fact that her lies to Mike have been catching up to her, and I get it. I get why they call it that. She has fed up with Angela and her bullshit after they've embarrassed her at the skating rink. And, she kind of, oh, by the way, oh my God, I was so satisfied when she rocked her with that skate. I was just so upset she didn't do more. I feel
like it took her long enough.
For real. If that was me, boom.
Honestly,
boom,
if I was Angela at that point, I wouldn't even get upset. Like how much do you expect her to take at that point?
Exactly, bro. And not even that. First of all, how can you go to jail for that? Like, is that really possible? I don't know.
I don't. Well, it's pretty bad in terms of like assault, but also like I feel like no, because of there's context in terms of what happened. Like they fucking. Recorded her, spilled chocolate all over her, and did a whole bunch of stuff. I was like, I don't know. They did enough to her to the point where, like, what did you expect was gonna happen? Like, lucky that all she did was hit you with a roller skate.
Right.
But it flashes that if it's a flashback to Elle's anger problems.
Yeah, definitely, and
parallels back to episode 1.
Right. And then you talk about her problems. One of her problems, can't speak, is the fact that she doesn't have her powers anymore. And this is where I thought this episode did get really cool. Who is that guy? That wasn't a president. That was president of what? The military or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Government, whatever. Some government official comes to the professor. What's his name? Sam
Owen.
And he's like, "Yo, I know you know where Jane, who was 11. I know where you know. No, I know you know where 11 is. I think that's what he says." And he's like, "No, I don't. Like, why would you think I would?" Blah, blah, blah. Long story short, they need her for something, and they're trying to find her. So Sam himself goes to Elle. It's like, "Yo, we got people looking for you." At the same time, there's a war coming, because we know about this presence in the Upside Down, and we need you. And she's like, "I don't have my powers." And he's like, I feared this would happen, and there's a program, and if it works, you need to come with us. And if it doesn't, there's a chance you won't see it. All the cliche stuff, But I like it.
Yeah. And then you got Hopper back in
yes,
wherever they are in Russia. Yeah, somewhere in Russia.
Yeah,
and he bribed somebody to hit his ankle with a hammer or something.
He's basically bribing a guard to for money to release him, and he's a corrupt guard. And here's another thing.
He gets one of the other inmates to he bribes him with his meal,
bread.
Bread. And then the guy's like, "I want your soup too," but he bribes him to is it hammer his ankle?
Can I just say, this is another thing that we didn't talk about. Episode 2, we get clear. I want to say clear indication of how Hopper escaped the end of season 3. We forgot to mention that, it shows us how he escaped, and it's just fine. I do like it, but to me, I still feel like it wasn't in terms of I guess he jumped down and then that machine didn't hit him, which is fine. But I feel so bad for Hopper, man. The shit he's been going through, they showed how he tortured him, and just how much can this guy take? I know he's a badass, strong dude, but how much can he take, man?
Yeah, he's taking some shit.
And that's just another thing I wanted to jump to also, is the fact that this show continues to amaze me in the way they figure out things, in a sense, when they're talking to Enzo on the phone, the lady that's yelling at the cop calls him a pig in Russian. They figured out what that meant. They put 2 and 2 together. I would have never thought of that. That's what, usually things are predictable. They do a good job of nah, this is how it is,
Mm-hmm. What else happens this particular episode?
Max.
Nancy and Robin have that little team up, which was I love that team up.
Okay, yeah, I love the team up. I got to talk about something that I don't know if I like it.
Well,
I don't know if I like the fact that Nancy and Steven having a little spark. I don't know what you want to call it.
Yeah, it looks like that spark is reigniting. Yep.
I don't like that. I love Steve. Steve is in my top 5. I love Steve. I love him, but I don't like that. Cause what's that whole thing with Jonathan in the first 3 seasons? You're gonna just
they're gonna do a little love triangle, bro. That's it.
Nah, I don't know. Do you know what that means? Do you know what that means, though? Right? That means that one of them are gonna die. One of them out of the 3 is gonna die.
Maybe.
No, that's exactly what that means.
No, they could do a little love triangle, and they could do Twilight. We're like, is she gonna end up with the vampire, or the werewolf, and then at the end she ends up with somebody else entirely. So they I love
Dustin
Robin.
From out of nowhere.
No, don't hit me with that. I love Robin. Maya Hawke, amazing actress.
Great.
She plays this character to a T. She doesn't stop talking. She clearly has ADHD or something, just bothering Nancy all over the place. They team up. They're doing this investigation on Victor. What's his name? Victor Creel.
Yep.
Where they basically discover that Creel blamed his family's murders on a demon, which again they're connecting this to Vecna. They're saying Vecna is the reason behind all of this, but also kind of the real question is how, since that was so long ago and everything. And then Max makes this connection that Chrissy visited the school counselor, and this is where I mentioned it was well, you've been visiting the school counselor too, but whatever. She steals Chrissy and Fred's files from the counselor and suffers that they suffered from PTSD, which she suffers from PTSD because she saw her brother die in front of her.
Right.
And then that's where she starts having these visions. So now Vecna's after Max.
Yeah, so essentially
she starts to see the same grandfather clock.
Yes, exactly. So the pattern in which Chrissy and Fred were dying and what they were experiencing is, similar to her. What she's been experiencing. She literally compared the notes. And
I called this early. I was like, wait, so she's investigating everybody because they all went to the counselor. It's like, but you were just shown earlier this season talking to the counselor.
I was talking to my brother-in-law, and I was telling him, I said, the first 2.5, even the fourth one, I can say, episodes, I was really happy that the trailer, I wasn't able to figure out what was going on. I could only guess, right? I don't like the fact that in the trailer we saw her looking at a clock, and therefore I knew that she was going to be next, because I saw that she was looking at a clock in the trailer. I knew that she was going to look at a clock in the episode. So, but that's how that episode ends in terms of.
I think I saw the trailer, but I don't even remember that. I just
I remember it. I remember that. But the trailer was great. Besides that, I think. But yeah, she was next, and then it literally ends with him going Max, and boom. So we know that
Freddy
Krueger
next. Voice again. Yeah.
It is Freddy Krueger, but it's also
who does the voice of this character?
I have no idea.
I don't know. Don't. I would say don't Google it. Don't Google it. Don't Google it.
Why? Because
No, because you might run into spoilers.
Okay, I'm not. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm not gonna do any of that.
Yeah. I would say don't
okay. Google it. So we get that, and then the whole fourth episode. So by the way, the first 3 episodes, love it. I'm hooked. It's great. Things are going well. It doesn't disappoint us waiting 3 years so far. And this is only the first 3, but the 4th episode, Dear Billy. I want to start off because it's fresh in my head too, with the ending scene. Can we do that or no?
The ending scene of what?
Episode 4, where Max is like,
you have to.
All right, so.
Oh yes, that's like the epic showdown in her dream sequence.
Bro, when I told you I got chills in the scene, just because I'm a fan of how things come together. I'm a fan of how they use the music. I'm a fan of connections.
Can I give you my reaction to that sequence?
Oh God, okay. God, let me down.
I'm watching it. Right. She's floating up in the air. They're contacting Nancy and stuff, and she's in this dream sequence. She's running away or she's moving, and she gets into this dark world. And I'm like, oh shit, she's gonna die. And then they start to have that vision where they put the headphones on her, and she starts to see them from a distance. And I'm like, I don't think she's gonna make it. I think she's gonna die. And then she breaks away from him. She rips a part of his neck or something and starts running. And then there's things falling in front of her, and I'm still convinced. I'm like, she's gonna fucking die. I don't think she's gonna make it. She's gonna die. And then I don't think they ever show her come back, but the moment it fades to black and it gives you the credits, I'm like, okay, she made it.
Yeah.
I really thought she was gonna die. I was like, this is gonna be the death that it's gonna hurt us the most. It was like,
but that's.
And I like Max.
I like Max too. I do like Max. But here's the thing, because we all did top 5s. I like Max a lot, but I was hesitant if she was in my top 5. Bro, the way first of all, Kate Bush running up that hill. If you don't know that song, know it. Placebo did a remake of it.
There's a whole bunch of samples of that song.
Yeah, I love oldies. I love oldies. When I saw her listening to it in episode 1, I'm like, yo, it's crazy. I was singing along. And the fact that they were able to use it, and not even that, but we know she's kind of next, right? She's writing these letters. By the way, she wrote mad letters in a span of an hour or so. But first of Billy, right? I love Billy. Billy's one of my favorite characters. I love Billy. She goes to read Billy. Huh?
You actually like Billy?
I like Billy. I think his Dacre Montgomery, right? I think he's so gifted as an actor. I think the way he did season 3 was amazing.
No, I think he played the character to a T, but I think he played the actor so well that you don't like the character. Exactly.
I know everyone hates him. I hated him too, but the fact that I hated him, I love him. I don't know how to explain it to you. Especially
that's what it is. He played the character so well that
and it's very rare. You see that. I don't think they're all great actors, but I don't think anyone played a great part the way he did so far. I'm just being honest. Max is great too. She's a great actress too. But she's reading the letter to Billy, and then we see her she's under the spell, and she's talking to Billy, and again he's great, and then Vecna comes out and she's running. It's very scary, very horrific. And then the end, she's going towards it, and then she gets like strapped up, and then like they put the music on her, and then she like lifts up. When she lifted up with the song, I'm like, yo, chills, because I really wanted, it sounds messed up, I really wanted her to die because I really did believe she was going to die. Does that make sense? I was like, yo, I think she's going to die. They make it, and especially like the flashbacks of every like episode she was in, like all the memories she had. And stuff like
that's exactly what I said too. When they started showing all these flashbacks,
they're gonna fake it. They're gonna make us think she escapes, but she's gonna die, and it's gonna hit us hard. And it gave me chills, and then she fucking survived it. I'm like, oh my god, that was still good. I went back to watch that.
But you see, that's where I think is like, who can you kill here without hurting the fans? Like, I don't know. And if you played it safe there and you didn't kill Max, then who else are you gonna fucking kill? I agree with what you're saying, but here's how I look at it. I think I'm different. I think you kill someone and hurt the fans. You have to hurt the fans to keep the I get it. And I'm convinced somebody will die because, it's look at the fucking size of this cast.
I don't know why I'm thinking.
Look how dark this season.
It has to be somebody big, and just I feel like at this point, the fact that nobody has died, whoever ends up dying,
it's just proof that somebody will die.
Yes, but also whoever does end up dying, it's gonna kill us, man. It's gonna kill us.
And I think it's gonna be the finale or the last episode, the last like fucking 10 seconds watch.
So you're saying that nobody dies until episode 7?
No, I'm not saying that. Again, I'm not talking about those episodes. I'm just saying.
Okay. Trying to trick you there.
No, I'm not trying to trick you here. I mean, you want me to tell you who dies? I'll tell you who dies.
Hell no, don't fuck with me too.
I don't know. I think they're playing it really safe, so it wouldn't surprise me if a character dies. I don't know. I hope it's not a character that I like, but at the end of the day, they gotta do what they gotta do. I mean, given the cast and the fact that they played it safe this long, it's like they're due a death. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I agree. And there's more to the episode. Nancy and Robin go to the asylum, I guess if you want to call it, where Victor Creel is staying, so they can try to interview him, but they fake their names and their status and everything just so they can get an interview. And they do, and they find out that he really didn't murder his well, they knew that. That's why they went, because they wanted to know how to beat Vecna.
And this is the character that is played
by Robert Elle. I saw him like, yo, Robert, what's up? Like Freddie, what's up?
Yeah, Freddie and Freddie.
But that's another thing I wish they didn't reveal, is the fact that they showed the pictures of him with no eyes. Like, it would have been a surprise if, like,
I mean, you don't really know what the reference of no eyes was.
True.
And he did that to himself. It wasn't Vecna.
Honestly, the fact that I saw that picture and I saw Vecna was taking out eyeballs, I was like, yo, there's a relation there somewhere. That's what I kept saying.
But yeah, I mean, clearly, but he didn't even do that to him. He did it himself.
Yeah, I see that. I didn't know. So it threw me off. Yeah, exactly. It threw me off. But no, he's there. They find out some information that how when he went into the house, like it was like haunted essentially by Vecna. And also episode 3, we see at the end that Vecna is in the upside down. He's controlling the house. Like, that's one thing I don't know what it is yet. Maybe you do. So the like vines coming in and out of him. I'm guessing when he kills somebody, he gets stronger, or he has like more of an army with him. Like, I guess that's what that is.
They mention it, and they kind of mention it, but I don't know if you're up there yet. You're there.
I'm not really up there yet. But I'm assuming that's what it's gonna be. So,
I think that's pretty much it. That entire episode is just. Let me see. Is there anything else? This is the episode that Hopper escapes, but then is recalled.
Yes,
so he escapes and he gets betrayed by the guy who was supposed to, the smuggler.
Yeah. So essentially, Hopper. The guard did his part. He told him, like, yo, the way you're going to escape is you got, little, what you call it? What's that? The snow machine, snowmobile, go over there, go to the church. Yuri is the guy who's going to come take you and fly out somewhere, whatever he's going to do. Turns out Yuri betrayed him. Yuri's like,
money. Oh, more money.
Yeah, more money for him, you know. Plus, he has Americans now with him, with Joyce and Murray, like the Russians.
And he
are
gives up the guard
looking
too.
for them. Yeah. So that plan backfired. I felt bad because I feel bad for Hopper. He went to the church. He's eating the peanut butter with his fingers, and he's like, "Oh, I'm finally free," and then fucking backfired, man. Like, damn. Tough.
Yeah.
Tough.
I think that is it. Is there anything else you wanted to hit for the first 4 episodes? Again, I will say this. I wasn't as excited as you were, and I'm not gonna lie, I was hooked. So here in the East Coast, it was actually raining on the Friday or the Saturday that this came out.
No, Friday night and Saturday was pouring.
Yeah, so I took the opportunity and said, okay, time to lay back and watch some Stranger Things. It's like, I guess they want me to finish the show fast. It took me like 2 days. Yeah, and I saw all 7 episodes.
Yep. Good for you. No, I had a little busier weekend, but I'm not jealous or whatever. But like I said,
I know you're a bigger fan than I am.
Honestly, I'm glad you like it. You know, I'm glad you like it.
I like it.
Like I'm trying to be as real as I can be. I'm telling you what I don't like. I'm telling you what I like. You know, but I want to see more. I definitely want to see more. There's a lot of unanswered questions. I still don't know what the hell's going on with Vecna and why and how and where the hell he's been all this time. You know, in the first 3 seasons, and
yep.
I want to see what's going on with that.
Yeah, I'm excited for you to finally dive in or finish the next half of this season or this volume, so we can dive into that. Yep. So I guess, guys, stay tuned for the next episode for episodes 5, 6, and 7, the super episode that's an hour and a half.
Yes, everyone. So this week was 1 through 4. Next week will be 4 through 7. That's pretty much it. You know, if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and on TikTok at Well That's Horrific, and on Twitter at That's Horrific. Because if you don't,
well, that's horrific.
Peace.
Peace.